In this daily drop, it's a couple of Thanksgiving tips from a home cook. So let's go. Okay, everybody, just a couple of days away here in the US of A from Thanksgiving, which for me personally is my favorite holiday. Why? Because it's all about food. And at our house, it's going to be 20 plus people. It is a big event that happens here every single year, and we get to have all of the kids back and family and friends, and it's pretty awesome in terms of, again, one of my favorite, well, really, it is my favorite holiday. I love Christmas time, and I think that's great, but guess what? There's no presents during Thanksgiving. It's really about the food and just breaking bread and drinking good wine and eating good food. And I personally am largely responsible for at least the main food that we will be having on Thanksgiving. So the reason I'm doing this a couple of days in advance is if you follow this channel and you check out the content, especially if you've been on the live streams, you know that food for me is, well, it's a thing. But hopefully you can take some of this advice, some of this experience that I've had for a long time and put it to use for yourself. I'm still making adjustments here. I'm definitely not dialing this in perfectly. And in fact, one of the things that we'll talk about having to do with the gravy is I'm making a big change this year. But let's get into the first thing, which is really the concept of making things ahead of time. You've got to try to prep as much as you can for a large meal like that with so many people to allow yourself to have some time with your family and friends, and also to reduce the stress level, especially when stuff is about to get put out and people are going to start serving themselves. So we do it buffet style because it's so many people, but there are place settings for everybody and it's a proper thing. But let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is cranberry sauce. And if you're, again, not in this country, but you celebrate your holidays, and some of them are the same, some of them are different. Cranberry sauce is a thing. I don't think that we count Ocean Spray in a can cranberry sauce, though it's not horrible. But making your own cranberry sauce is about a 10 to 20 minute type of deal. A little bit longer if you do what I do, but in its basic, cranberry sauce is fresh cranberries. I have 2 large bags like this that I'll be using. Sugar or some sort of sweetener, usually citrus, so that's lemons or oranges. Sometimes you'll add orange juice, sometimes it'll be cinnamon. It all has to do with your recipe and what you want to do. And what I'll do is I'll put all of those things together, and don't forget to take some of the outside peel of an orange and put that in there, because the pectin will help set it up and all that good stuff. But what I'll do is I'll create one huge batch of cranberry sauce. You're cooking that down with orange juice or water or a combination of both, sweetener, all that kind of stuff. And then cinnamon stick is what I usually do. I guess you could use powdered cinnamon. Once it's basically cooked, again, about a 10 to 15 minute deal, they start popping and breaking down. I'll usually take a portion of it and I'll just put it aside and refrigerate it for a chunky cranberry sauce. And then I'll put the rest of it through a sieve and make a smooth cranberry sauce. So you're making a smooth and a chunky, which people like. And then somebody inevitably buys a can of that Ocean Spray cranberry sauce and brings it, and it's a memory. There's nothing wrong with that. Having certain things like Jell-O or sweet potato pie or whatever it is, you can't make people wrong for that. That's part of the memories of a holiday. And even though it might be awful, or if you had it for the first time now, it would be horrible, it's all part of what makes this great. So we have our friends bring all their crazy memory-based food, and it's sort of a potluck, but I'm making the core meal, and it's going to be 3 turkeys this year, which is insane. Somebody's bringing 2 hams, mac and cheese. We make homemade stuffing. I'll probably make 20 plus pounds of mashed potatoes. And there you go. All right, done with the cranberry sauce. Make that ahead of time. So easy. either a couple of days before, the night before, whatever you can do to get ahead of the game is really important. Now, last year, what I did was I tried to make the gravy ahead of time. And here's the thing. Everything's going. You're planning, you're spending all of this extra time to get everything ready for Turkey Day. All of the people come over. Everything's pretty chill, right? Except for the reheating of what people bring over. And that's a whole different discussion. And then at the end, when you pull that turkey from the oven and it's resting, and you have all of those drippings and everything else, it is a race to the finish line with everybody's things going into the oven to reheat, with people needing the stovetop to finish something that they need for their thing. We're trying to finish things. That gravy is probably the most stressful component of Thanksgiving for me personally every single year. So last year I tried miserably to make gravy ahead of time. And this year, I have a different plan. Remember, I mentioned that I have 3 turkeys? Well, tomorrow, which is Wednesday, Thanksgiving's always the last Thursday of November. Tomorrow, on Wednesday morning, I am going to completely dress and cook one of those 3 turkeys. And I have 2 objectives with that. Why do I have the turkey bone broth? Because that's something that, or a turkey stock or a chicken stock, goes into those, in with the pan drippings and everything else to make really good gravy. But neither here nor there right now. What I want to do is I want to roast that turkey, and we always have leftovers. We do a turkey pot pie usually now after Thanksgiving. We'll do, I buy Texas toast, which is like that really thick white bread, and you toast it and you make Thanksgiving sandwiches with the cranberry sauce and the stuffing and the turkey, and then usually some like Swiss cheese or something goes on at that point. It's good stuff, okay? Mayonnaise might be part of the equation if you're into that kind of thing. So that's that stuff. But the gravy is so stressful that I'm going to roast the turkey. I'm going to take that turkey meat and put it aside for leftovers, because we always let people take some leftovers home with them. We have leftovers at the house. And then I'll have all of those drippings with all those herbs, the sage, the thyme, the rosemary, I usually will stuff the cavity of the turkey with oranges and lemons and flat leaf Italian parsley, and then of course salt and pepper and garlic and butter under the skin, over the skin, a little olive oil, all that good stuff. And then you just roast that thing, render that fat off, and let a crispy, nice skin. That's the one thing I'll probably eat when I make it tomorrow, is the skin. And then you have all those pan drippings, and then you're roasting an entire turkey. What I did last year is I just roasted a few little turkey parts, some legs, things like that. By the way, the giblets, all that stuff goes in there. Well, some of them go into the stuffing. Don't tell my kids. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to make all of the gravy ahead of time. And even though we will have drippings and we'll have everything else, I'm just going to leave those. I'll reserve those. And if I need to make some more gravy for the leftovers, I can do that on Friday. That's my advice from a home cook. I'm not giving you the recipe for the gravy, but a lot of it's instinct. The base is the pan drippings. You got to make a little bit of a roux, which is you're taking all of that, fat from the turkey skin that's been rendered out, from the olive oil, from the butter, and all that goodness down at the bottom of that pan. By the way, don't make the mistake of forgetting to put a few onions in the bottom with some, whole cloves of garlic. And then all of that stuff with some like turkey bone broth or turkey stock or whatever it is that you're going to use. You could use chicken stock, but I'm a purist. I like to use turkey with turkey. And then you make a big batch of gravy. Get it to the right consistency, and then it's just a stovetop reheat. Get them into those gravy boats. Bob's your uncle. Don't forget to and I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.